statistical manual for mental disorders, which is crazy. It's normal that we can do that because we are energy. And when you said what 5 or whatever are most important points, so at least this, there is no death, is absolutely the most important. You cannot die. And paranormal phenomena are normal. They are totally normal. They're part of our development, our spiritual entity. There's nothing crazy about it, even if...
So can you expand on that exactly?
Well, like telepathy.
Yeah.
You know, the thing with mind control is very bad because they call it synthetic telepathy. They can induce thoughts in you. They can induce voices in your head. And of course, voices in your head, that you're crazy, you know. They can do that, and they have done that from, at least officially, from the Iraqi First War. They gave orders to soldiers straight into their head. Of course, they were guinea pigs.
American soldiers?
American, yeah, right. And if this technology...
Did they use it on the enemy as well?
Yes, in a way, because I always remember I was so shocked when I saw a picture when soldiers came from bunkers, Iraqi soldiers. They had bunkers and about 3-yard walls, you know. They had drinks and food for 6 months. Americans had sent helicopters above, and they had Arabic-speaking interpreters who spoke Arabic to them, and they were sending, with microwaves, orders to come out. They were being mind-controlled, and all of a sudden, all the guys came out. With no reason at all. Nobody attacked physically. It was just done with mind control. Then they had another one where there was an Iraqi colonel who was, you know, putting his hands up because they were using mind control on him. Nobody shot him. He came out and he was saying, you know, I surrender. And there was nobody to surrender to because the helicopter went by. So it's incredible things you can do, and especially, well, this is a weapon, an incredible weapon of war. And in 1991 it was in Fort Bragg. There was an American colonel who gave a lecture about this, and it was publicized, and they call it synthetic telepathy. But then, of course, there is normal telepathy between animals and humans to other humans. And especially if you are close to somebody, like a mother and a child, you know, there's so many stories of how they know what happens to the child on the other side of the globe. For instance, an accident, and the mother, you know, feels it and things like that. So this is not anything abnormal. It's totally part of being a human being. And then we come to the most important question, I think, why are we here? What it is to be a human being on this planet. Why are we here? Why are we, some are brown, some are yellow, some are white, whatever. But we all have teeth, and we have hair, and we have 5 fingers. Why are we so scared when somebody does not have teeth, not 5 fingers? I'm talking about aliens. There are very, very, very many different races in the universe, and they don't look all like us. And why we're so afraid is that we are always fixing ourselves into the body instead of the energy. And you see the energy through the eyes. I mean, you look at anybody into the eyes and you feel. That's what we should do with all ETs and all life forms in the universe, because we're so limited that we think that everybody should be like us. We say there's no life on some planets because there is no water, because there's no oxygen. We need the water and oxygen. There are races that don't. I've written in my last book, Secret Wills, because I get a lot of mail from people who have contacts, and they always say that it's relieving to be able to talk to somebody who doesn't ridicule. And the Finnish contacts in general are very, very positive. They're very positive. They come at nights, they kiss you on the cheek, they talk with you, they take you up, they don't harass you or do anything bad. Now, in my mind, the question is this real? Because this could be also done with mind control. Now, how can you separate the two? I would only say...
Can you name any mind control projects that would be able to do that?
I have a whole list I can show to you
Okay.
in a minute. It's a one page. Of course, they tried with Mac Ultra, Naomi, and all these when that was already in the 50s. But they are doing it.
What names again? I didn't quite catch that.
Like Mac Ultra, that was the
MK Ultra, yes.
Yeah, MK Ultra, MK Naomi, Rainbow, and whatever. But I have a whole list written down.
Okay.
And of course, if you think what the technology was in 1950s, think what it is 2009.
A lot happened in the 50s or the late 40s. Where
A lot, I think, was remote. I mean, when they got crashed UFOs, when they got alive aliens, they got information.
How long do you think that's been going on? Back to the 1930s?
Probably. But I was just in near Washington, D.C. in April 2008 at this X-conference, second insiders conference like they called it. And there was Jesse Marcel, and who is a doctor living in Montana, and he's a colonel, retired, and his father was the Jesse Marcel Senior, who at Roswell took home a piece of this, piece of a UFO, and showed it to the son, who was at that time 11-year-old, and said, "You look at this because you're never going to see it again." And he drew, the 11-year-old Jesse Marcel Jr. drew the figures that were there. They were like hieroglyphs. And he also, in his lecture, showed pictures from 1800, end of 1800, of UFOs. And from the US, UFOs from 1932. And as you know, generally they say, oh, it was 49, you know, with Kenneth Arnold. The official information is often lies. Unofficial.
The Kenneth Arnold thing, as a lot of that's been suggested, is actually a lot of German World War II technology.
And in Sweden, Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been going on like that.
So in your position in Finland, you've been to Russia.
Yeah.
For some conferences. Can you talk about some of those?
Well, I went to Siberia, at Novosibirsk, and that was interesting because it was Arctic Medical Research. And of course I was with Arctic Medical Research in Finland and in the Nordic Committee for Arctic Medical Research. And one thing that really got me was that there was Dr. Kashnashev, I think his name was. He was doing research with bacteria and their consciousness from one file to another. Something was happening to the bacteria here, and the bacteria here, you know, was reacting. Which is interesting when you think of telepathy, consciousness, whatever.
So the bacteria have a consciousness of communication?
Well, I mean, communication.
Yeah.
Communication. So if you think that we are a little bit more advanced than bacteria, so we have tremendous energy and possibilities for communication, normal telepathic communication. The Soviet Academy of Sciences officially has been for decades researching the paranormal. Of course, because it is a weapon also. And in this conference in Moscow, there were members of the Soviet Academy of Sciences who gave presentations.
When was this conference?
It was in 91 in Moscow. And what surprised me most was that they were so open about the research. And
now, how did you get to this conference?
Because I knew the psychiatrist Rima Leibo from a previous conference, and she was telling me that she's going to this Moscow conference, and I said, is it possible that I could come because I was in Finland? It's, you know, a short trip. And she says, yeah, it's open, just come. So I just hopped on the plane and came. It was that easy. It didn't even cost anything. It was free. And
does that tell you about they were really trying to tell us something, a disclosure?
Yeah, I do think so. And there was an assistant professor.
And this is, of course, just before the Soviet Union collapsed. So
yeah, it was just about a minute.
Last gasp before.
It was exactly. And that energy that it was going to collapse and something new coming, it was there. It was incredible energy in that, you know, 400 people in the lecture room.
And who were the type of people there?
I mentioned they were pilots, test pilots like Marina Popovic as audience, doctors, and one thing that came out, and general public. I didn't know the general, I don't speak Russian, unfortunately, but then there was a lady who was an engineer whom I had met in a UFO conference previously, so I asked her to come and sit next to me and interpret something, anyway. And then the next day was very strange, because she didn't come, but 2 men came. I've been married to 2 officers, so I can see their stiff neck and their, I said...
what happened to make that change?
I don't know.
Did she
but
tell you something? Or?
In my mind, they realized that I was a foreigner, of course, and they wanted to do surveillance. I said to the other guy, when the other one went out, you're an officer. And he was like, how do you, I said, I can smell them. I know. What is your grade? Colonel. And this gentleman who just went to the toilet, he's my chief general, of course. They were audience. And after that, I couldn't go anywhere alone. They said, oh, no, we'll escort you to the hotel and whatever. Which actually was good, because I was alone in Moscow and I didn't think anything could have happened. So I was grateful for the information. But Marina Popovic, whom I had met also before, ex-wife of General Popovic, who opened the conference, we made a deal that we'll talk tomorrow. She never came. Somebody must have interfered. I don't know. But the best thing of that conference was that there was an assistant professor, Russian, who is also going to the committees in NASA. And he gave a lecture about UFO contacts, positive ones, and near-death experiences, and what happens.
So you're having a Russian expert who deals with NASA, giving positive, verifiable...
Right, in Moscow.
In Moscow, about UFOs.
And near-death experiences. How people change positively after a good UFO experience and after a good near-death experience. And the changes are permanent, and they are the same. They're the same. And I thought this was incredible. I had come to the same conclusion myself. But hearing it from the podium in Moscow, I thought this is fantastic. You don't hear this in the States because, like you mentioned, what's the difference between Finland and the US? Well, we're allowed to, say what we want and we're not harassed. You go to the States or NATO country Norway, you're harassed terribly when you open your mouth.
And that is why you harassed here.
That's right, because of the information I give. And my information is all public. I mean, I have no secrecy, no secret, nothing. But there, of course, there's a lot of work digging into old top secret papers, which are now open because of Freedom of Information Act.
And what are you getting from those papers? For what information?
Number one, that people are not told the truth. People are being lied to. I mean, that's the whole thing.
So the lies are?
On the ground. And official information is mostly lies.
So what is real? We're talking about the real ET situation at the moment, right?
Yeah. What is real is that we're not alone in the universe. That's my number two. There's no death and there's alone in the universe. I mean, when you go to an observatory in any country, and then you see the little tiny spot which is called planet Earth, and then you see the universe, don't know it, but as we know it, and then you can't come out saying that, you feel like, I may be an ant to them.
Before Russia, the Russian Republic as it is now, have you had any further contacts with Russia since then?
No, that was none. That was it, yeah.
Was collapsing.
Yeah, well, I only have a couple, things that I want to stress very, very much. And that is number one, man is a mind, not a body. So we are energy. Number two, we cannot die. We can never die. Our body dies, yes, but we are not our body. And then we are absolutely not alone in the universe. And the question of ETs, humans, death is one question.
That's
we're all one.
Important.
We're all one in the energy. And we can live in our future. They can come to our past. And there's absolutely no death. There's no time in the universe either.
Yeah, our perception of time is a
completely wrong.
Yeah.
But we're here to learn. We're here for some reason, and one of the reasons is that, in my mind, this is a very negative planet because we kill our own race. We eat our brothers, that is, meat of animals, and it's not only that we slaughter them, but we also hunt them. And when you or anybody has had a cat or a dog or a cow or whatever, horse, you absolutely know that there's a consciousness in them. They feel, they love, they hate, they're angry. And why would we be the only ones with consciousness on this planet? When our form is different from some other humanoid forms, different from dolphins, different from whales, but they all have consciousness. So we should start concentrating on the consciousness of people. And that way we would see that we're all one. We would not anymore have wars and killings and things like that. But before that, the elite, who wants only power and money, has to change.